Hey, I'm your host, Scott Dr. Jix Goldfine, and this is Where'd You Get Your Funk From? For this episode, I am pleased to welcome three of the six members comprising the current lineup of the mighty, irreverent, and sometimes outrageous rock and soul band Fishbone. They are James Jimi Bills Jones. Raise your hand so they know who you are. There he is. Guitarist Tracey Spacey T. Singleton. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you.
And last but not least, we have trumpeter and vocalist John J.S. Williams.
Hey.
All right. Welcome, everybody. And just a little bit more information before we dig in. Since the early 1980s, Fishbone, which hails from my hometown of Los Angeles, has been thrilling and challenging audiences with its unique musical blend of rock, ska, reggae, soul, and funk, punctuated by strong vocals and socially conscious lyrics. The fantastic news is the band is back with its first studio album in more than 20 years, the excellent Stockholm Syndrome, and they're also out now on tour doing shows. So Jimmy, Tracey, JS, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Where are you guys now?
We are in Albany, New York right now.
Yep, doing a headlining show tonight. Second of many little headlining shows that's coming up in between the tour, you know?
Wow, never a dull moment, right? Well, I appreciate making time to do this. I know we had it a while back and something came up, so even greater that we're making it happen now.
Yes,
absolutely.
So the standard opening question for this show, Tracey, when you and I last connected, it was the Truth and Rhythm. And I also want to mention that not only were you on previously, and folks should check out that Truth and Rhythm for that period of Fishbone's history, and also all your great history from, Sound Barrier and Mother's Finest and, all the great stuff you've done, Tracey, to check that one out. But also Norwood Fisher was on in Truth and Rhythm. So as far as the deep history of Fishbone goes, make sure you check that out and you'll be up to speed. But for now, with the current iteration of the band, the question is, where'd you get your funk from? The name of the show. So that's the first question. And just in brief, if you could kind of just share when you first felt the funk and kind of like how it infuses you today. So let's start first with JS.
First time I felt the funk was when my father played the Headhunters track on our 8-track in our car back in 1980. My father was still playing the Headhunters 8-track, and as soon as I heard "Woo-hee, woo-hee, woo-hee, woo-hee," I was stuck. I was like, "Oh, I'm here now." So I think I was probably 3 years old, but that's when I first felt the funk.
Right on, some Watermelon Man. So, and how does it sort of course through you today? How does it affect you and your character and how you see life?
It helps me see things more down the middle. It helps me see things fairly, and it also allows me to walk in my own power. Just stand in my own power and know that I'm doing what's right for me. And as long as I'm not harming anybody, and as long as I'm respectful to everyone and vice versa, then everything is everything.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I asked this, because people need to realize funk is so much more than just music, Right. So that's what this is all about. So Jimmy, what about you?
So first time I recall feeling the emotions that come along with funk, I had to be about maybe 6 or 7 years old, I think. And the movie Good Burger had come out, and George Clinton was in the movie. And in the movie, there was a scene where they did Not Just Knee Deep. And as soon as I heard, I'm like, wait, what's this? And so, of course, I asked my dad, and he's like, oh, that's Parliament Funkadelic. They've been around for years. And then he just started spilling the beans and playing me all the records. And I was just like, this is what I love. Like, yeah. this is it right here.
Yeah. And so how does it put pep in your step nowadays?
I think what I draw from funk is the vibrancy of it, just walking through life with vibrancy and love and appreciation for everybody, no matter what creed, color, or anything. Everybody, is a part of the funk family, no matter where you come from. It just hits you here. So that's what I get from funk.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Now we go to our elder statesman of the group.
Yeah.
And I don't know, might mention Nanny Hazel or somebody. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But,
Well, of course. I mean, of course, it was going to start with Jimmy, and the band of Gypsies. But then I heard Funkadelic, and once I heard Eddie Hazel, that was it. Because as much as I love James Brown and I love the backbeat, because I'm a drummer as well. But once I heard those guitars, I like hearing them with that. I could really feel that, with the bass and, Funkadelic for sure. And, and I have to mention Sly and the Family Stone. That's made me really feel that, almost like they called it psychedelic soul.
mm-hmm.
That's the thing that really made me feel it, because the guitars were turned up a little louder.
Yeah. And how's that affected how you carry yourself through your life, Tracey?
Well, for me, I feel like, it's like that whole tradition of carrying on the funk from the people that came before you. So I was told by my friend Eddie to keep it going. And he said he wanted me to take his place out there when he left this planet. So I'm definitely trying to keep that going as well, So I always keep that with me because it's a part of my being and my blood. So it's going to always be a part of anything I do,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I kind of got this background, Tracey, but just real quick for our other two, Jimmy and JS, how did you guys first get into your main instruments? Let's start with Jimmy.
So, wow. Keep a long story short. I started on drums in church, and around 18 and 19, kind of realized it wasn't working out for me. And I had two other friends who were great drummers. So I was like, yeah, if I stick on drums, I'm not gonna get anywhere fast. So I switched over to bass, and it only really took me about 5 or 6 months to really start getting into it. And then I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to play. Then it just started from there.
Who's your favorite old school bass player?
Oh, man. So this is a debate with me and my dad. He started me with Stanley Clarke, and I love Stanley Clarke, but Bootsy to me is that's the one that hits my heart. I love Stanley, but Bootsy is always. And then before Bootsy, James Jameson. Yeah.
I understand. JS, what about you? What first got you into trumpet?
First got me into trumpet. I began playing trumpet at the age of 7. My public school had a music program, and I gravitated towards it because I had a little competition I had in my own head with another student, and so I just practiced a whole lot. Then I just got good at it, and then I kept getting better at it just because I just got used to doing it. And then next thing you know, I was in the high school performing arts, and then from then on, I just continued to hone in my craft so I can make a living.
And who are one or two old school guys on a horn that you would say are heroes?
Oh, heroes. I would say the Trinity, Clifford Brown, Lee Morgan, Freddie Hubbard. It really begins and starts with them. Most trumpet players will tell you those 3 are the 3. But outside of them, I'm hugely influenced by Roy Hargrove, Nicholas Payton, Wynton Marsalis.
I think it's pretty interesting that these two cats, these young guys, they're referencing a lot of jazz guys, you know?
Oh yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
We needed it now. You know, Fishbone really needed this element at this point because it's like it's a maturity that comes along with all of that that's really needed right now. Same with our drummer, you know. It's to me, a lot of people tell me it sounds like Fishbone from '92, but I hear that, but it's matured now, you know.
So with that, Tracey, tell us how you got back in the fold.
Well, I heard some recordings of them with the previous guitarist, Mark Phillips, and I didn't know about any dramas or nothing like that. I just knew that these sounded pretty good, and I was like, man, you guys got to make a record. So I sent him a text telling him I think they should make a record with that lineup because it was just smoking. And 2 days later, he made the announcement that he was leaving the band. So I was like, wow, that's some pretty crazy timing. So I said, wow, they're going to need a guitar player. So I was thinking, And Lisa, my fiance, is looking at me, you know, and I say, let me give Angelo a call, you know. So I gave him a call and I said, hey, man, if you need me, I'm here. I love you. And him and I always had a great time together 22 years ago in Fishbone, you know. So took him about an hour or so, called me back and said, we need you, man.
All of an hour, huh?
Yeah. I guess he had to talk to everybody and see if it was okay, you know. But it was an honor not to have to audition, just to go to Oakland and jam and then go right in the studio and learn and play on the album.
How was that first session for you? You know, was it like shaking off some rust or just jumping, flying?
Just jumped in,
Jumped right in that fire. I mean,
yes.
like Trace, the performance that Tracey has on this record is something that fans of Fishbone, and even if they're newer fans, they are going to know that this brother is one of them. He's one of those ones, and it's an honor to be on a record with Spacey. For real.
I feel the same thing about these guys, you know. And you know,
Mutual admiration. That's cool.
it's crazy because on top of all of that, Chris snuck away and went and got Kendall. So I'm in there recording, and around the corner, here comes Kendall Jones. Kendall Jones shows up at the studio, and that just cements the whole thing together for me, you know, because he's a big fan of what we're doing right now. And it's really great to have his blessings, you know. It's really important to me because when I was in Fishbone 22 years ago, I made it a point to play all of his parts as accurately as possible because I felt like that's what the fans wanted to hear, you know. So it's evolved into what it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to get deep into that new record for sure. I really like it. But for Jimmy and JS, you guys were in a group together. I understand you were opening for P-Funk or something like that. And so just could you encapsulate, you know, how you went from that to being in this group with Tracey?
Well, yeah, we were in the same band, and he, JS, was playing with Fishbone already for about a year or so. And then one day he called me and was like, hey man, what are you doing for like the next couple of months? And I was like, my schedule is fairly open. So he was like, do you want to join Fishbone? I was like, yeah, I'll just, everything else is canceled. Nothing else matters. So yeah, and then about 2 days later, him and Chris called me on a 3-way call, and Chris was like, yeah, man, we love to have you. And yeah, that was it. Now, from JS's perspective, it's a little longer.
I can truncate it. While we were on tour around 2018, 19-ish, James and I were a part of a band. It was called Blue Eye Extinction. And we opened up for Fishbone. Fishbone opened up for P-Funk with George Clinton. Chris and I formed a bond while we were on this tour. I remember vividly this night in Denver where Chris was just fed up. I'll be like, you know how sometimes if you've been doing this for decades, you know, there's some things that you'll be fed up about. And so we were able to just talk, and everything Chris said to me was absolutely accurate about how a career in this business should go. And I was just like, I'm with you. Whatever it is, I'm with you because you're right. Whoever's telling you anything else is wrong. You're right. And so me and Chris have always seen eye to eye. And so then a couple of years later, it was a dust up between them and Norwood and Walt. And they said they are no longer playing in the band. Would you like to play in the band? Would you like to cover Walter's book? Okay. Yeah, I would love to do that. And so that's how I got in. And, you know, we've been doing this I've been in the band for just over a year now. But we've learned a lot of the older catalog, and we've created some new catalog.
So how much rehearsing did the group do as it is now before first performance? And, you know,
Not a lot. We really just listened to the recordings and learned the parts. And then we got together maybe a week before we started going out, maybe a week, you know, and then we just went out there and covered our parts because all of us are professionals.
I was just gonna say everybody's so good at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're rehearsing every time we do the show.
Right. I mean, like, I'm not saying this is just another gig.
Nope, it's not.
But it is a gig. And we've been doing this for, you know, individually for years for different bands.
Yeah.
50 Cent, I played with Lauryn Hill. You know, we know what it takes to learn the music and memorize the music and get it to, you know, show ready. So all we have to do is just study the music that the OGs did, and, you know, it was easy after that.
Some of the best interpretations ever, I think, too.
Yeah, we get to add our own thing to it. I love that. I love that about Angelo and Chris. They allow us to be us on stage and to be us in the music and in the catalog. It's like, it really feels like, you know, I'm a part of Fishbone now because they've embraced us and trust our talent.
Definitely.
yeah, I got some of the clips. I recommend everyone watching, you know, check out YouTube and the Grammy Museum thing you guys did, and
Yeah.
good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about recording that new album. You know, when did it start and what was the process that brought it together?
Well, you guys want to, because you guys, see, for me,
Yeah,
I can say for me, when I got in the band, the music was already done. All the songs were already written. And at that point, all they mainly needed was guitar parts. Because there was some guitar. Aaron, Dave did some of the guitars, and he wanted me to record over some of his parts. And I was like, no, they're so good. I left a lot of his guitar parts, and I just did some of them, you know. But then I ended up doing a lot of the other parts on the other songs. And the cool thing about that is all the parts I'm playing are produced by Chris and Angelo. I played exactly what they wanted me to play to make it. Because this record, to me, is their vision. This is their way of getting well and to help cure themselves from the Stockholm Syndrome. You know what I'm saying? This is their therapy record. And, you know.
Cathartic, yeah.
Yes. So hopefully that works out well enough where our thing is we get turned loose on the next record. The band's going to go berserk seriously on the next record. You know,
I'll hold you to that.
And that'll be our vision. That'll be our total vision, you know?
Right. So the record, I mean, yeah, the lead track with Last Call in America, that one's very accessible in sound. It actually reminds me, I don't know if you'll agree, Tracey, since you were around back then, but I think of Living in America, the James Brown.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that.
and you got GC, I mean, on one of the lines on that. So that's always cool. And I'm going to run through these. Is there any comment you want to offer about that particular track?
Anybody want to say anything about that song?
About Last Call?
Yeah.
It was really cool that Chris and Angelo allowed me to cut loose on that. They just said they're just gonna give me a backbeat. I didn't even know I was gonna do it. Chris just said, "Hey, just give me 16." I was like, "Give you 16? Give me 16, whatever." And then I recorded it once. Chris said, "That was cool. Go ahead again." I recorded it a second time, just as is, and they said, "That's perfect. You're done. Let's move on." And so what you hear is just like the second take.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to say real cool solo.
My dad's a big Miles Davis fan. He loves it.
Yeah, that was really cool of him.
Can't beat that.
Mhm.
And then adolescent aggressive behavior, that's got the classic Fishbone sound and vibe to me, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that proves that there's life after that version of Fishbone, you know? Because, you know, we were getting all kind of hater stuff at first, but a lot of that stuff is gone now, you know? Thank goodness. Thank you guys for dropping all that. Because this Stockholm Syndrome for the audience, too, for the listeners.
that's true.
Yeah, they got to drop the baggage, too.
Yeah. Well, that theme is carried, I think, through the lyrical content of most of the songs, you know? And Dog Eat Dog, you know, that one, you kind of switch to the horns are really kind of propelling that one with less guitar emphasis. You know, if you want to say anything about that one, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to move on.
They're just a great song.
Yeah.
Talking about the industry, you know. The industry's going through a lot of craziness right now. It's always been crazy, but the crazy spotlight on it right now. I'm not going to mention any names, but
Dog Eat Dog probably has the coldest lyrics
yep.
I've ever heard in my life. I really think everybody should check out Dog Eat Dog. It's brilliant. Angelo did his thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, they had to live it with the corporate greed and the contractual bullshit.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. One of my favorite tracks of them all is "Sucker" by Sabotage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that one is it's got so many different parts to it, which is so cool. It's thrashy, it gets funky, it's like doing everything.
Yeah, a Fishbone trademark.
And that one's about self-destructive behavior and going through those changes right there.
Yep.
And that was one of the longer ones, so it took some time to do its thing. So it stretches out. Secret Police, that one's really kind of catchy, like more of a new wave kind of feel.
Yep.
Yeah. About racism and that BS.
Police brutality.
Yeah. All that comes with it.
Another wild one is Gelato the Clown.
Oh, one of my favorites too.
Real quirky, kind of a ragtime vibe in some of it, Yeah.
Very 1940s.
All of that, yep.
Type feel, yeah.
Kind of like what I did with the band 20-something years ago. We had that song Karma Tsunami, which is in the kind of same vein as that kind of.
Right. And I think it's also one of the longer tracks, isn't it, or no?
All right, so it's got a story to tell, that's for sure. It breaks down. Yeah, it's kind of long.
But it has elements of Dixieland and vaudeville. Yeah. It's like Fishbone is more than just ska punk rock,
right.
But we've studied the entire breadth of music, especially Black American music.
Yes.
Like we've studied all of it, so we can shift and go into many different eras of Black American music because we studied it all.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned about the old timey feel, but specifically a little bit of New Orleans flavor.
Right.
Yeah. But ultimately the message too of that one, about overcoming adversity, being true to yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And then, continuing just the musical stew, Why Do We Keep on Dying is like got the reggae happening,
Yeah.
Injustice, False Imprisonment,
Gotta be some reggae in there, man. It's gotta be. We love all of those styles of music, and the goal is, which to me, Fishbone is really getting it down more than ever, is mastering each sound authentically. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or you think you're hearing the Wailers playing, you know what I mean? Or whatever style of music we're doing, everybody knows it well enough to make it real because that's we all lived it, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Make real and also bringing it together in interesting and fascinating ways.
Yeah.
You know, there's still no one to me that sounds like Fishbone.
Really? We're just getting started, man. Really, this band is just getting started. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
they got some great mentors, these guys.
Yeah. You know what's funny too? I can honestly hope because I don't think there's going to be any more lineup changes or I think this is it, man. I can honestly say this is it. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
This is
Well,
this is the family hood right here.
yeah. Well, it's working so far.
You know?
Right on. Thank you.
Hellhound's on my trail. You got the rockabilly thing.
Oh
happening?
yeah.
yes.
Cross between rockabilly and like Joe Texas.
But yeah, another one that speaks
Yeah,
so
it
in
speaks,
police
yeah.
brutality.
Yep.
Yeah. Coming down on minorities, being disenfranchised,
Right.
all those horrible things. Another one of my favorite tracks, Racist Piece of Shit.
Hey, listen, there's a theme. There's a theme going on.
Yeah.
Like this band is not afraid to speak its mind, speak its collective mind, and let everybody know exactly how we feel about the current state of things.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to leave that to the imagination. This is how Fishbone feels about current events.
And that's always been the Fishbone way. So
Yeah.
you're not going to derive from
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Still speak on it
Yeah.
and speak against it.
Yeah.
You know, speaking against it. Absolutely.
Every time.
It is seriously needed.
That's that part, right?
I don't know if tell me if you pick up on this at all, Tracy, or if I'm crazy, which could be. The groove of Racist Piece of Shit reminds me a little bit of Everybody Wants You.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
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 Chris Dow right there. Or
Yeah,
Aaron.
yeah. That's Chris. That's Chris. Yeah.
And then another favorite of mine is Living on the Upside Down.
Oh, I
That
love
one,
it too.
that should be a single. I got to tell you guys.
Oh, of course.
Really? Okay.
We think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that one's like a new wave rocker.
Yeah.
About I love that one too. It goes outside of some of the other stuff with
Which is
Right.
great.
Right.
aliens might think, if they saw what the hell's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is
Right.
great.
Yeah, that's a killer one. So
Adding more styles to the already millions of styles that we can do, because I always felt that Fishbone from the beginning let it be known we're going to be going to all these different places. So you can expect anything, even the unexpected. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I got to say, All About Us, is that you doing the lead
Yeah.
guitar work? That's fire right there, Tracy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
Again, about oppression and racism.
Mhm.
That one. Yeah. And again, a little more of the swinging rockabilly kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Love is Love, which is like a John Lennon-esque kind of slower thing,
Right.
Good
And
way.
I love that it ends on that kind of message.
Yes.
Right. I was about to say that basically is like the end all to all. Like that's the last leaving message we want to leave everybody with. Like love is love.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
we have to love each other, and that's the only way to do it.
Very well put.
So, which of these, give me a couple of these that you have the most fun doing live.
Oh, that's a great one. I love playing Sucker by
I was
Sabotage.
just
Yeah.
about to say that.
And we keep adding more and more. We're adding more and more songs too.
Yeah. Sucker by Sabotage.
That's the most fun.
in
That's
mine. And Racist Piece of Shit.
Racist, of course.
Races is fun.
People love every
Yeah.
single place we played at. People love it.
But
Yeah.
Sucker for me,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I like that's the one where I get to like really dance and get into the groove, and each groove is just hitting live. Like it feels totally different when you get suckered live.
Yeah. So on the bass, though, were you used to doing those kind of radical changes from your history, or is it like a little bit different?
So I play in church, so a lot of like the faster stuff I'm normally playing on a Sunday because like we play like stuff like just like shout music that's like 180 BPM or 160 BPM, and you don't know what BPM you're gonna be playing at because there is no metronome, so you're just gonna play it however the drummer feels like he wants to play it. So if he wants to play it, so yeah, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is what you got. And I listened to like a lot of Metallica and a lot of Slipknot. So I'm very well versed with just like being free and letting my hands just flow in. And then I do play a lot. So I'm always doing this. So yeah, that stuff was, it was pretty fun to play.
Yeah. So what about in terms of the catalog from Jimmy and JS? I'm especially curious, being younger, what's your favorite Fishbone legacy track?
That's a good one.
Everyday Sunshine has a special place in my heart because I remember being an 11-year-old kid watching that video on Video Music Box. It's kind of like a local video show in New York City. It's kind of underground. It kind of introduced a lot of us to LL Cool J and Run DMC and Tribe Called Quest. It like introduced us to them. And when I saw Fishbone do Everyday Sunshine on this show, it was like the stamp of approval, especially in inner city Black communities in the 80s and early 90s. It was like if VJ Ralph McDaniel deemed you important enough to be on his show, that means he wanted you to be a part of our culture. And if Uncle Ralph wanted you to be a part of our culture, you were a part of our culture. And so that's what Fishbone did. Seeing them on Video Music Box, that's what it did for me. I was like, Everyday Sunshine, oh, I'm here. I know these guys, and I like what they do.
That's great. I enjoy that perspective. That song we mentioned, Tracey mentioned Sly. That one definitely has some Sly influence. Yeah. So what about for your indoctrination in terms of a legacy track? What's the one that you really dig?
I would say my favorite Fishbone track, period, is Sunless Saturday. I love the drive of it. I love the energy of it. But then just listening to the lyrics, it's like the lyrics are timeless because they float to whatever time period you're in, sadly and unfortunately. But they reflect so many different eras. And when I heard it, I was just like, yeah, this is something that I can really relate to. And yeah, that's the one that I love. And then another one that I love is Fight the Youth. Oh yeah. That's like,
I couldn't hear you on that one. Say it again.
Oh, Fight the Youth.
Oh, okay.
Youth is that's my jam right there.
Sunless Saturday is a good one because Sunless Saturday is like it's like a cry for better days. It's a cry for better times. It's like when you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're just crying out for a better day. That's what Sunless Saturday is for me. That's a great song. It's a great song to perform.
For sure. I don't know if I asked you that the previous time, Tracey. So what's your current favorite from the catalog to play?
I have to say my current, one of my top favorites would have to be In the Rain. Because it goes with mostly all the time it goes with what's going on at the time, but it really goes on what's going on right now, really. And I just love the message. I love the sound of the band. I love the tones. It's just Kendall at his best, man. And having Chris sing the lyrics, and I could tell that Kendall wrote that song because it's so intelligent, And he loved the way Chris sang, sang the song. So I just love the way they delivered it. And it's just my favorite. And I have other favorites right behind it, but that's my number one favorite.
Yeah, no, I know it's a tough call for sure.
Right.
You know, and just so you guys know, I first came into Fishbone with Party at Ground Zero. So, I was thinking that they were playing that on the alternative stations in Los Angeles at the time. They were all over. I think K-Rock was like breaking Fishbone, and got that EP and, never stopped. Saw them a couple times back in the 80s, because I'm from Los Angeles as well. Now, you guys are from the East Coast, right?
Yes. New York.
So different kind of vibe coming to the circle, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Definitely needed.
this is a whole different perspective in Fishbone right now, because we all, even different regions have different types of musicians, and California musicians are California musicians, and New York musicians are New York musicians, and it's a beautiful thing to bring it together in Fishbone, because it's like we really represent the nation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we this is like Fishbone now is a representation
East to
of
west.
of how Black people feel in America, in the totality of America. We have family from the South, we have family from the Midwest. We're always out there. It's like the entire United States of America, from a Black perspective, is represented in Fishbone now.
Now, I think you guys opened for people like Tool and Primus, right? Did I get that right? So I saw their show here. Unfortunately, you guys weren't on the bill. It was Primus and the Tool sub bands. But that must have been wild.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Awesome.
And that was my first show. So
Right.
It was like
Played it like a pro.
And it was like thrown into the fire, and it was like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Outstanding.
It was great. That was a fun time, man.
That's awesome. So how are you guys working out your set lists?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, we are giving a set list to the two OGs to work out, and then they let us know, because they never got a chance to do that before in the past. So Chris and Angelo, they have that set list, and this is what we're playing tonight. Or sometimes we don't even know what we're playing, like in London that time.
Yeah,
that was one of our best shows. We had no idea we were going to play, and they just called off songs. That was the best. It was fun.
That was the best.
So that's how we do it.
Are you throwing in any covers or only Fishbone stuff?
Every now and again, we'll throw in something. Lately, we've thrown in what was that? Dance to the Music.
We've been doing a tribute to Sly.
Yep.
At the beginning of Everyday Sunshine, we do the first half of Dance to the Music. Yeah. You would love that.
Well, I'm hoping you come my way,
Yeah, we'll be out there.
Last time I saw Fishbone was opening for P-Funk in Greensboro, and right before the pandemic. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a cool show. Yeah. With Galactic also. So who are some of the other acts, name acts that you're, co-headlining with or opening for or whatever?
Less Than Jake is one of them. They're the headliners. And then the Suicide Machines is another one. And Bite Me Bambi. We did some stuff with them earlier in the year too, in December, when my first tour back with Fishbone was with them.
Yeah. So were you being kind of a homebody for a while, Tracey, or were you doing some other shows?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, not really. Just doing a lot of teaching kids, and a lot of session work, and a lot of practicing at home,
So does it feel like really good to be out there again traveling, or are you kind of like,
it really does.
Yeah.
Especially with these guys, it's like, it's on a whole nother level. I've never been with a band on this level of musicianship like this, ever. I played with a lot of people, but to be a part of something where you're given 100% freedom to do what you want, and everybody thinks the same. Like, I'll give an example. This one of my friends, he said, I can't wait till you come to the West Coast, because I know you're going to be blazing, And you know, almost like the band's gonna be the band, but you're gonna be blazing. I'm like, dude, the whole band's gonna be blazing. If you think I'm doing something, wait till you hear these other guys. They're on the exact same level, if not more. So we're at this band, we're all blazing. So the Fishbone is red hot thing is, that doesn't even describe it, really. It's hotter than that. It's like the sun.
And Angelo's becoming one of those, wonders, out there still
He's
doing it
outstanding.
as he does it, and
He's like the greatest frontman that I've ever seen.
He's the
Not
GOAT.
even not, it's like 100,000%, and he's not gonna give you less than that. It doesn't matter what else is going on.
Yep.
His focus is totally giving the crowd what they want and really being immersed to giving that energy to them. It's amazing to watch him.
is he still going out there and getting on chairs and stuff like that?
Oh yeah,
He's doing it all.
Crowd
Because
surf. He's diving.
He still enjoys doing it. So
Yeah.
that's great.
even though he has nothing to prove, he still enjoys it. So
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So, I'm sure you guys have been doing a lot of interviews for the junket, for the album and touring all that. So what's something that no one's asked you that, you're like, how come they never asked this,
That's a great question.
Because I want this to be unique for the viewers too. So what's something,
How's your fiance holding up at home?
How's the ladies
Yeah,
back at
all
home?
the time we're gone, how are they holding up? And my fiance, since she's a musician, she's holding up, but she wants to be here too,
Like, wow.
They all want to be by our side too,
You know, I wish people would ask us. Where would you rate Stockholm Syndrome
Oh, nice.
in Fishbone's catalog? That's the question I wish people would ask, because I personally feel that this is the best Fishbone record since Give a Monkey a Brain. Like, since that era of Fishbone with Truth and Soul and those records, I think that Stockholm Syndrome stacks up with them. I really
could
do.
agree with
I really
that.
do. I feel that in my heart.
I mean, no
that-
disrespect at all.
Not at
None
all.
whatsoever.
But it's like the records that Chris and Kendall were on.
Yes.
It's like having them back, at least around us. Like, Chris was heavy in the writing and production of this record, but Kendall was around
Yes,
to
he
give his
was.
approval.
Yes, he was.
Like, if something was no, it was no. If something was all right, it's on the record.
And he loved everything he was hearing.
Right. It got Kendall's blessing.
Yep.
So having, like, in Norwood's words, the best songwriters in the band back on these records or influenced by these records as well. I feel that Stockholm Syndrome stacks up with all of those records that they did before.
Well, and you're talking, I think, to the consistency from front to back, that the songwriting is strong, that
Right.
the theme is consistent and strong. It's all coalesced in that way,
Right.
So really strong in that
More
way.
matured. It's matured. Like
Yeah.
a fine wine.
Was there much material that didn't make the record?
Nope. From what I understand, there might have been just one or two songs only that didn't make the record.
No,
Isn't it
because
three,
no,
maybe?
there's a couple of songs that's going to be on the next record that
That was from-
we're kind of like, Chris is keeping them in the holster. I don't know why, because they're bangers, but Chris is looking ahead. So
Yeah.
but there's some that to me are even tougher than
Yeah,
the ones
for
on
sure,
Stockholm
for sure.
Syndrome.
For sure. Yeah, there's more coming.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I kind of had heard that, and it was reminding me. I was thinking, wait, is this kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers thing? They came back after a long hiatus, and they put those two records out closely together.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
is Fishbone going to come back again with another one?
Yeah, we're talking about it for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to just throw a few tracks out there. If you guys have any say in the set list, and especially if you ever come my way, you know, Charlie,
Charlie.
you know, I'm going to go with some of the funkier ones. Tracey knows I'm going to go with some of the funkier ones. But In the Air and Knock It from that album.
He said Nasty Man. I haven't heard
Oh
it.
yes, Nasty Man.
Mighty Long Way.
Oh yeah, I love that song.
Yes.
Love
Yeah.
that song. Yeah.
Ghetto Soundwave.
They're all really great songs.
Definitely.
You know, there's not really too many bad Fishbone songs. You know?
That's true. Yeah, you guys already said Fight the Youth. That's definitely on my list. But on that record too, So Many Millions.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Great one too.
Behavior Control Technician.
Oh, Sonic Metal. That's what Walt called that one, Sonic Metal.
Those Days Are Gone.
Oh, we
Oh,
do
we
that.
do that
We play that.
Yeah.
We're gonna open with that tonight.
Yeah.
Really? That's great.
Yep. We got
Very
a
cool.
new take on it.
All right. Hopefully it'll find its way onto YouTube. And then, you know, Give Monkey a Brain. I think probably like any of those are cool.
That whole album.
The whole album.
That whole album.
From top to bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. That one might be the funkiest overall album they did.
Yeah.
And Psychologically Overcast.
Oh, I like that. I think Fish wrote that.
Off that EP I mentioned already, the VTTLOT.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
one.
Paul. The fried frozen Godzilla farts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's the one I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
a sonic banger.
I'll throw this at Tracey. How do you feel about the group's legacy in terms of where do you see Fishbone's place in the big picture of rock, funk?
Well, there's always examples. You know, I don't like to use people's names all the time, but I always, on a personal level, saw them like right there with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Right in that's where I see them. And they should be living like that. You know what I'm saying? And for some reason, they just didn't get the opportunity, and now maybe we will. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll throw it out though to you guys too. Where do you see that the group in that big picture of, you know, bands, and, you know, where's their place? Are they, you know, tragically overlooked? Are they, you know, respected on a mantle where they should be? What do you think their impact has been, really?
For me, I think that they're one of the greatest bands of all time. And I guess a lot of people, when you say greatest bands, a lot of people are thinking musicianship. And that definitely takes a part in it, because you can't say that you're the greatest band and you can barely play your instruments. But to me, it was the energy that the original six had. The like, we're breaking down every wall, every barrier. There's no to us. Like, you're not gonna tell us what we are about. Like, we're about what we're gonna be about. So to me, that resiliency and like that forcefulness of the original band can never be duplicated. And to me, that puts them in. And then, of course, with the music, that puts them in, to my eyes, one of the greatest bands ever. Like, they influence so many other bands, and they don't get the recognition that they deserve for it.
Yeah, that was great. That was it in a nutshell. It's the bravery that the OG6, I like to call them the OG6, OG7. It's like their bravery. I mean, they were so young to be teenagers, to be 20-somethings, and they're fighting against the system. And Angelo was climbing on the second floor balcony and diving in, and and the great music that Kendall and Chris and the rest of the band were able to craft at the time, they're definitely overlooked. They're definitely underappreciated, and they definitely deserve way more recognition that they've gotten and that they have now. And that's why I believe it's all of our mission to help them accomplish that. They should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They should have been, received all the accolades that all of the bands that came under
that
them
went past them.
received. So it's an honor for me to assist them in this leg of their journey, for them to get the recognition they deserve
and carry on the legacy.
and carry on the message.
The legacy of Fishbone.
Amen. Hopefully, you guys will be doing it long enough where you can see some of that stuff realized finally.
Right.
Carry that torch.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's a great way to wind it up. But I do want to ask you guys: you're touring through the end of the year, or what's the outlook like?
August.
I think August. So we have a break coming up soon, and then we're on break for like about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we get back on the road with Less Than Jake and the Summer Circus, and then we finish that out with some headline shows, and then we have some stuff like in September, like some stuff.
Okay.
All to get ready to go back to Europe.
Right.
And the record is, I don't recall the release date, but we're now in mid-June. It's the end of this month, right?
June 27th.
Yeah,
Next
27th.
week.
Okay.
Next week Friday, the record Stockholm Syndrome is coming out.
Yeah, this will probably air just right after that. So, yeah, so you don't have in your possession now, get out there and get it immediately. And there's hard copies too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We love the hard copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, unless you want anything else, thank you and congratulations on bringing it back together, man.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Shot.
it so much.
Appreciate you.
Always
Scott.
Pleasure to meet you, Evan. Likewise. I've watched many of your
Yes.
You are a legend, sir.
You are a legend.
So I'm like,
I'm just a messenger, but yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it, man.
pleasure.
Peace and funk always, and keep
Absolutely.
on doing it, man.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
see you out there hopefully one of these days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Be well, man.
Thank you, sir.